Hello everyone and welcome to Blender, where I'm going to try to make a X-Wing for Kerbal Space Program. Long awaited, really. I have made X-Wings with procedural parts and other parts in Kerbal before, but I have not made an actual model of it in Blender and imported it. I've made the Starship Enterprise, I've made a Star Destroyer, I've made the Death Star, but not an X-Wing. So, since May the 4th is coming up, it's tomorrow, I might as well go ahead and do an X-Wing finally, and I'll build in some interesting features. So, first thing I want to do is tell you to make sure that you can import images. I forget what the import images as planes. I actually don't have it ticked. I don't know how I actually imported it, but I guess these days you can just drag and drop without the plugin. But yeah, import images as planes is another option that you can activate. But I just dragged and dropped this, and it originally this image came from the blueprints.com, or I forget if it's .org or .com, but it's GIF, and GIFs don't import like this, so I had to convert it to a PNG first. So that's one thing to note. So after that, we need to get the sense of scale. Now, normally for a plane, I would use a cylinder, but the X-Wing is actually sort of boxy. So I'm not going to use a cylinder. I'm going to use a cube. So we'll stick with the stock cube. And let me continue with some music here in the background. And taking a look at the dimensions of the T65B X-Wing, one source has its length at 12.5 meters. So I am going to just go ahead in the Y direction, make this 12.5 meters. So knowing that, we can then scale our blueprint to the same sort of scale, and we do want to rotate it so that the nose is in the positive Y direction. So I'll rotate it in this axis. And we see we need to scale it up. And we match the size of the cube with the length of it. But it's the length including the engines, so not just the body. Because when they say length is 12.5 meters, they include the engines in that. It's sufficient for it to be approximate. But we do want it to lie in the center. So on the cube, I'm going to add a midline so that we can see it, because for whatever reason the image references do not go transparent. Oops, I didn't want to move that. The image references don't want to be transparent or semi-transparent when you go into transparency mode. So I'm just going to have that midline and line it up like that. Okay, so now we're at the right size, and I want to get the other blueprints. So we're going to move this one down. This is hopefully all the views on this are to the same scale. At least the side view does look like it. But sometimes with these, they don't do that, which annoys the heck out of me. Alright, I've done Shift D to duplicate. I'm going to rotate about the y-axis. Oh, but we're already rotated. So x-axis by -90 degrees. And we're going to make that side. A problem is that, so actually I want to be this side, because then it's okay. Well, I feel I should nudge it up a little bit. We do want it sort of like that, with the tip of the nose at the Y axis. Oh, this is upside down. Whoops. Upside down's not good. Just get this back at 0. Let me also get a midpoint line like that. Okay. I'm not moving the right thing. Okay, that looks fine for the side view. And then the front view. Back view is also important in this case and somewhat different. I'll just go with this one to duplicate. Alright, that seems like a pretty good match. So then I start with the top view. And selecting the cube. I apply the scale for now. But we want to move the tail bit up to match the body like that. And then get some cuts in where it looks like things are changing. So we're using the edge loop tool or loop cut tool, and the wing root seems like a good place. One right at the back of the cockpit. One right at the front of the cockpit. When this nose fairing sort of ends. You can also add lines where there are these panel differences, so one right there would be prudent. One in the middle here. One at that transition, and then sort of right there. There's a little bit of a imbalance side to side here. But up front, you can see we're lined up front a little bit, but maybe we should shift it still. It's definitely sort of a slight rotation. Well, we'll try our best with that. Now we only need to worry about one side really because we can symmetrize it using the symmetry function. So let me just match things one at a time. I use the loop or circle select so that I make sure to select things that are hidden. There's actually 3 different vertices there. Oh, but I've got extra vertices back there that I'm selecting. All right. And then for now, just matching. Now here we have a gap between this portion and then that portion. So I'm just gonna add an extra loop cut. Well, let me just select all of these, move that forward a little bit. This can be modeled as a separate part or a separate mesh. That's perfectly legal too. Now actually there's a discontinuity here, so let's add another loop cut there. Alright, having done that, then we can just mesh, symmetrize, and then it's symmetrical like that, and we can go on to the side view. Not all shapes are as simple as the X-Wing shape. Be careful not to cross vertices. I don't know whether we want to... The line is a little bit different on the top view than on the side view, so it's a little bit of a puzzle. Add another cut here. You could just bevel it or something, but I like to make it discreet because it's not exactly the kind of shapes that you get from beveling. Oops. Ah. Keep doing that. Here, this transition is happening a little bit further back. We can probably just shift this down to match that point there, and then shift these forward to match that there. Let's see. I mean, we're definitely getting the beginnings of that shape as it is. But let's continue with the side view adjustments. And on the second set there, we want to get the indent, so move that up. I will, there are two ways to do the cockpit. The cockpit could be a separate mesh, or it could be built in as part of the mesh of the body. And in this case, I'm just going to make it part of the mesh of the body. I might regret that. But so then we make a couple of extra cuts here. You can see there's this line here. We might as well have this set of vertices match that line. That's probably an inflection point anyway. It is an inflection point anyway. And the body design. Back here you can see it tilts down. I'll just match that. Though actually here there's sort of a bit that goes upward. I mean, it goes inward like that. So maybe that's more physically important if we just keep it like that. Then we can indent these. So we just move these forward like that. Unfortunately, the wings are covering the size of the body there, but I think it's mostly about that height. Now this actually occurs a little bit differently, so got another cut here to match where that's happening. Other diagrams might be necessary to try and figure out exactly what's going on here. Or images from the movies, even. R2 is definitely a separate mesh. But then, I guess the body... These are the engine itself. I guess the body is actually at this side. I'm pretty sure it's straight at the top and doesn't have another indent, so it's like this. Okay. So it's currently looking like this, but we know that it's indented. So we need to match that, and we can sort of try to use this view. Now, originally the width that we seemed to get was that width. So maybe this front view is actually a little bit smaller than it ought to be, because it's not matching the dimensions as we are expecting them. Well, let me get the rough idea first. Well, we definitely don't want to do that. We'll be crossing, so not all of these vertices. Maybe we can just do them one at a time. We can sort of see the curve here. That's the front of the cockpit window. Is it all the way here? I guess so. Whoa, I thought we were isometric. Here the bottom seems to go pretty wide right away. But isn't that's the nose? No, that's not the nose. These are. Then from this view, it looks like they should be up there. That seems wrong. Indeed, I don't see how that could be. But we certainly can see that these need to be further in. Blueprints available for free are not necessarily perfect. Maybe this should be all the way out here. Overall, the shape is like this. Well, this must be further in. Well, symmetrized time, not this way, the other way. Well, the cockpit obviously gets to be a bit of a problem here. Well, maybe I should do it on this side for consistency. We need a cut. But I want this to be the top of the cockpit. Oops. So we're matching this line here. And then we can also use it for other geometry later on. So matching this top line on the mesh there. And then something's going horribly wrong in the back. Oh, well, it's down here. Oops. Don't know if I want it like that. Okay. Nope, come on. There is definitely a mismatch between things here. I think post the... no, we can just go with that. Post the cockpit, this also sort of moves in. I'm switching back and forth between the transparent view and the solid view because otherwise I can't see whether I'm selecting a lower vertex or not. Probably is the right general idea, but we'll need much more geometry to make it look right. Alright, getting there. Definitely save. It seems to have a pointy bottom. So, okay. The edges all need beveling. I'll have to look at some other images in order to figure out some of the details. But at this point I want to separate off the cockpit window. And probably this is a little bit wide. see. I think I should just make that all tighter. I think these lines are effectively on the side of the vehicle. So I'm gonna tighten this up a little bit. I'm using scale X, SX. Could just select one side and then symmetrize, but I could make sure that these are all exactly in line by just typing in where they ought to be. Let's see what we've got. Is it this fat back here? Hello, Alex. Unfortunately, the blueprint isn't exactly perfect on these things. The shape of those rear windows, I mean, it's roughly triangular, so, but then again, here, this way it's not. There's definitely a back window there and a portion that's not a window right here. This bar is giving the illusion that it's sort of higher. Okay, well, I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna cut this off, and then I'm going to save it as a different version of the file. And then we're going to cut windows. So P, separate selection. So this is the body. This is this is the canopy. Saving version 2. And then inset. Make the windows. Let me just... Oop. Did that not happen right? Uh-oh. That's part of that, but that's not part of that line, apparently. Okay, well, I don't know what Symmetrize was thinking, but I'll just go ahead and manually do it sloppily. Whoa, that is not the... That is not insetting the way I want it to. Oh, it's not the scale that's the problem. To be honest, that canopy is annoying me too. Well, I can fix it, but it's not very nice of it. Or I thought I could fix it. Okay, where even did that other node go? I mean, vertex. No. Okay. I see what's going on here. It is a quad, but it's not a quad that likes the situation it's in. Still doesn't. Pointy quad. Okay, well, I'll just add a little bit more geometry. And then it's better. Okay, once we've got the canopy cutouts, I'm gonna select the window bits because we have to paint them differently. And in fact, they'll have a different shader than the other bits. They'll have a transparent shader. Well, I think I should move on to the wings for now. Alright. So, wings, they're still boxy rather than, you know, with the sort of cylindrical. A normal wing is basically a cylinder that's been stretched lengthwise. It's got a curve to it after all. But faster planes like Concorde and all, I'd still use a cube for because they don't have that much curvature. So here I'm going to just go with a cube for the wings still. I'm assuming that outboard bit is still part of the wing. And ultimately, when I texture this, the wings are going to be radiators for sure. Okay, so we need another edge here so that we can match that cutout. So we have that line there. But then over here, something happens. So maybe the outboard bit, I should just consider something different. So I'm going to put another little bit of, let's say, one that matches that line there, or just ahead of that line. And then I really don't want to match the tilted one. We'll deal with the tilt later. But they're very thin. It seems the outboard thing is sort of its own little bit. Thickness-wise, the wing is very thin. I think it translates up a little bit when it separates. There is a little bit of, there is a gap between them. But you can see where it's mounted here, it's actually lower in this position here. It doesn't just rotate, it actually moves up. So that's important. But there is a gap. So if we're going with the top wing here, we want it like that. Note that this is longer. Again, this front view isn't to scale to the other views. So we have to keep that in mind. I'm just not bothering with that right now. There's probably a mounting block that shifts there, and I'll deal with that in a bit. But first we want this notch. I wonder why this isn't all in line. Oh, because I tilted like that. Okay. SX0 to get those in line again. I could just literally cut it out, but... Gonna move this up. Add another cut. Very close. I don't know. But because that side is tilted, I feel like this side shouldn't be so flush. That could cause me problems later. Instead of doing it that way, instead of doing it that way, I'll just put another cut here. Yeah, I'll do it this way. So, that we shift this way, and then we delete some faces. How did I select that? Okay. Feel like these are... So 3, select the faces. Probably this view's best. Delete those. Then 1, and then fill in the gaps. I think that's nicer. The outboard bit, I'm going to take that, inset it, make it smaller, because it seems like it's smaller in the Z direction. Whatever it is. And then extrude. And then we add another loop here. Take this bit. We gotta inset that more. Extrude. I mean, I don't know what it is exactly. But that's a start. Okay. So, then we need some more wings. And we can just, for the time being, mirror. And duplicate. So wing upper, and this is the left one, and we want to apply its scale, and then duplicate. Wing lower, left. Again, these front views aren't to scale. I might want some more thickness. And this one, we need to reverse what's going on here. Oh. And it's already mirrored. Okay, so we've got some wings. engines would be nice. They're actually full circles. And then they've got a fairing sort of thing going on the side of them. So, let's add cylinders. We might as well stay in front view. But you need the other side. Okay. So that's rotating X. Again, the scaling is a little bit off. And in this case, we want them seated on the wing itself. They are at the bottom of the wing, so it's like this more. And we can presume, it seems to go below the wing. We can presume, it doesn't show very well here, but that the gap between the wings is so that they have clearance, so that is my idea. This gap between it and the body, it makes it look a little bit more like that. Top view. Well, you know, we could just scale from the top view, really. This is probably better. So there's this bit and then the front bit. The front bit is hollow, so we'll probably make that different. I'll add some extra geometry, because there's obviously stuff going on here. Might as well add a few loops there. But maybe before that I should have duplicated it for the front bit. So a duplicated one. The intake portion. I mean, I don't know how much of it is the intake portion, but... Oops. Here, I want to inset and extrude. Inset and extrude. I mean, that's all very fuzzy, so I'm just gonna let it be. Inset again, and then extrude inward. So we look like that. All this I'm gonna shade smooth. I'm in an older version of Blender. Gotta auto smooth that separately. The way this mounts, it's unclear. It seems like the front view and the side and the top view don't exactly jive with each other perfectly. My interpretation is that actually it is like this. And this can all be further fixed if I use more reference images. But it's got a little hump over it, so alright. Now it's got a center piston and then those little lines in the middle. So for now we can do that. I'm actually going to duplicate this one for our center piston. It seems to have a notch on it, so I will inset, extrude again. But it's not really at the center of it. I think at this point I'll also shade smooth that, so it doesn't look so bad. Certainly needs more detail though. I've really minimized how many polygons we have here. This is for a game, not for rendering purposes. If we were doing just Blender renders, we'd use more polygons. Is that? Seems like it does go with it. I think this should probably be going further back like that, maybe. Well, that center is weird. Right there? Okay. And that's not where I wanted it to be. Yep, I'll need more images to get that right, but for now, at least the bits are there, and I can adjust them as necessary. First, let's consolidate this. I'll just call them cube. And everything apply scale. Probably apply rotation to everything as well. Oh, except for those. Okay, the engine portion of it. We'll need some greebles. Definitely looks like this edge is actually beveled. Where's my side view? Oh, the hump is actually for this part. Okay. That's what it is. Still, how exactly the engine clips the wing is a bit of a puzzle. I'll have to look at other images. For now, I'll let it float. Okay. Did I make the nozzle an extension of this? I guess so. As far as how to make the little leaves, I tend to prefer to do that with textures instead. I mean, I probably could do something though. Ah, that wouldn't be any good. I'll think about that. Let me set that aside for now. Okay, mirroring everything. If I move everything up, I could just probably mirror like this. Yeah. That's what was causing it to be a little bit off. Alright. Alright, gun pods. Just... I'll save us a new copy. The back end isn't making me happy. Definitely need another reference for that. Alright, but first, gun pods. The laser tip. Obviously cylinders. No problems there. Oops. Y. Extrude, make smaller, extrude, extrude, make larger, extrude. Top it, extrude, make larger, extrude. Well, they've got something fancy going on here. Just gonna use extrusion to... Oops. Try to mimic what's going on. I think that just goes in, actually. Very fuzzy. Let me just go all the way there. I forget if this part was like... Okay, positioning. Shade smooth, auto smooth. Let's see if two of them fit. Next, I'll handle some of the animations just to have them. Well, no, let's do the fairing bits. So I want a cube for the bottom of the engines. And this will be very rough until I use some of the other reference images. Unfortunately, that's tilted, so I can't really use that properly. It's pretty clear that it ends with the engine. And it goes up to below that line in the intake. And the amount it extends to this side is about the diameter of the engine. And it has a straight portion. And then tilts. But then has a straight portion there too. So we're looking at something like this. I don't have a view that shows me exactly how... Let me see. Okay, I think it goes up to this line here, but there's some other stuff going out the back here. But basically it's up to that point. And maybe we can match this line here. So roughly speaking like this, but it needs more details. It's a debate whether I'm going to add those details. Well, I don't know. Does it go that far forward? It does seem to go forward of where that ends, but maybe not that far forward. Flush with the wing there. Oh, thanks for resubscribing, Satellite. Oh, no, that wasn't what that was. That was an old notification. I think that sound, if you guys heard it even, was the YouTube follow sound. No, it looks like it should be flush with the wing from this view. Right? The wing I just have a little bit further forward than... How is it? Oh, okay, I need to make some adjustments, it seems. Wing root's just a little bit too far. And this, I guess, is further in. Assuming that the blueprint is correct. For now, I'll take that. Let's mirror it. The only thing is, the wing animations I'm gonna have to do separately for each wing. It does complicate things. They're not symmetrical in a way that people... I'd have to do each wing separately. That's annoying. The wings also technically don't have control surfaces on them. Not the best aerodynamic deal. Now in this image we see some semblance. Is that the hinge, or I think that's just detail on the bottom? Well, depending on which wing you're talking about, the bottom or the top of the wing. There's no hinge detail. Maybe I should put R2. I'm gonna say R2's fundamentally a cylinder and then taper R2. Well, bevel. Ever a bevel was a good deal. Here we are. Let's give R2 plenty of dimension. Definition was the word I was looking for. But R2's gonna need some coloration. This is not gonna suffice. The body is going to need to have a gap for R2. And that gap needs to be a little bit bigger to make it clear that it is a gap. Ah, the part where we hate booleans. Okay. There's an extra one. Shoot. Fine. R2 unit confirmed. I'm not rendering right now, so I'm gonna get rid of the lights and camera and all that business. Gun. Laser. Engine fairing. Alright, so taking a look at a different reference image than what I've got here, I've started to do some touch-ups. I've beveled this edge here and also the top edge there. So just a touch of beveling. Probably I should do more of that. I think maybe parts of the front cone could be beveled. The bottom bit's already been beveled. Just a light bit of smoothness there. And I have discovered that this isn't quite the right shape, so let me fix how that is. I don't know, the diagram here has this portion, but looking at images, there is no such portion. I'll just reduce the extent of it. And then a lot of this has to go away. Maybe I should just use a different shape. Yeah, I'll just use a different shape. So I'm just gonna delete some of this. Fill that. Move that there. Okay, and then in this mode, I'm gonna add a cylinder. So it'll be added to this mesh. So make it smaller. The ends go away. Most of the faces go away. Oh, I don't want to select that. And nope, just these. Press L for linked. And then extrude. And remind it that it should be shading smooth. Okay, that's basically what they look like. In the back, this portion has bits that are indented. I really don't want to do them individually, so I'm gonna take a shortcut using individual and then going like that. That's a bit more than the original one had, but I think it looks okay. Right. Now, inside here, it looks like what we've got is a cone instead of a cylinder here. So, so it's something more like that. All right. On the nose, there's an indentation on the top of it. Here, we have to uncheck individual there. Okay, And I've already added an indentation to the top of this. There's a lot of detail that goes on top of that, but I haven't added that yet. I'm thinking that these blocks actually need to be extended further back. Oops. No. Y direction. So it's more like that. I do want to add a little bit more definition to the body. And it looks like we need to extend that. I need to join here. Oops. This doesn't look great. That's because these need to be joined as well. And this is just not a good shape. I think I'll add a little bit of bevel to that. Very little. Be careful it doesn't cause a problem up front. Oh, it doesn't know what to do back here. The rear of the X-Wing is pretty flat. It's not bent like this. So, flattening it. And it sort of has a indentation. We pre-indent. Okay, no, don't do that. It's trying to get the nasty results of the beveling here. I don't need it to do that. I'm just going to avoid that by joining these two. This polygon ends up messy. And a few more makes it marginally better. Alright, I'm gonna separate the wings off and I'm gonna make the mirrors happen, if you will, so that I can animate the wings. So, I'm gonna save this as a fresh copy. And apply the mirrors. And everything to do with the engines. We'll see about the details. I might regret this because I might have wanted to add the details to them, but maybe that's just going to end up being... Oh, you know what? Unwrapping the textures first is a good idea. So I can have more texture space since it'll be duplicated anyway. So first we're going to have to assign materials to everything. Let's just go back here. Time to do that. So no, not material. Body. Now also have the canopy body. It's the same color. The window's going to be different. Okay, I'm gonna do my characteristically lazy unwrap. So select body, select linked material for all the bits that are body. Smart UV unwrap. That's pretty good. R2, I'm just gonna make R2 its own thing. Okay, now we're all unwrapped, so I can make the mirroring happen and we won't end up having to use half the texture space for each thing. Right, now for each and everything we should just call it 000 first, and I don't want to call that 0001 or 001. Let's call this engine cone. And actually, we can just combine it with the air intake. So join, get these, join, they're all the same material anyway. I'll call this engine front one, or 000, engine core 000, engine fairing 000, intake 000. Okay, then for each of these, we do P, separate by loose parts, and we get the 0.001, 0.002, and 0.003. And that will happen for every single one of these. So tab, select all, P, loose parts. Tab, select all, P, loose parts. Yep. P, loose parts. Uh-oh. Not loose parts. That ends up being a lot of loose parts because I joined these things. So, first, I'll sort the rest of these things out. So engine front goes with engine core. That's that engine front and that engine core, so I'll combine that. That's that one. With any luck, the numbers all match. Okay, then the intake, that's 0. The one over here is 1. Okay, so I believe everything is in order now. And then the wings. Lower right. And upper right. And that engine goes with upper right. That engine goes with upper left. That with lower right. And that with lower left. Then we need to reroute these so that they operate a little bit better as a hinged element. So right about there, we'll say that that's where we want to move it from. And I'll just say negative 0.94x to round it off. Y direction, we'll just say negative 3.6. Or even further back, negative 3.8. Seems about midway. Okay, so that's that one's location. I'll say set origin to 3D cursor. And then the one on the opposite side, we just changed the x-axis. So the right one, we say set origin 3D cursor over there. And then for the bottom ones, we change the z-axis. Should be about right. Wait, oops, I think I changed the wrong ones. I put the lower ones instead of the upper ones. Shoot. Well, let's start with this one. Lower right. Okay, well, we are going to set this to be the default position for these wings. And we need to key both rotation and location because they shift up. I think they move reasonably quickly, so let's say 2 seconds. I don't know what the exact angle is. Well, we could use the reference. Seems like about 18 degrees. Just gonna copy the coordinates here. Uh-oh, the gun pods didn't go along. Shoot. Well, I can fix that in a sec. Alright, first let's key all of these. So, that's after 2 seconds. Let's go back down. Now in their down position, I'll fix the laser. Well, they are separated already. So, let's just call this laser 0.000. There's too many laser bits, so that's not the way I want to do that. Deselecting. Probably just go into vertex mode. And then press L to get the linked bits. Oh, not loose parts. Selection. Okay, so number 2 is over here. Oh, almost. We got number 0. All right, now we're all sorted. Still have to sort of make the hinge look a little bit better. But it can do its thing. Has no physical point to it, really. But it can do that thing. Alright, well, a lot of detail can be added. And probably much texturing is left to do. I don't like what's going on here, though. May need a little bit more like this. That's better.